Hi everyone and welcome to the Optimised Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Emma Price, and today I'm joined by Blake Sargent, and we are going to be talking to you today about how to double your profits in 12 months in your healthcare practice without working extra hours. So welcome, Blake.
Hey.
So we're going to be running a little bit of a live masterclass coming up soon to show you exactly how we do this in our practices, how I've done this in my practice. And look out for a link attached to this podcast. But if you want to register yourself so you don't miss out, this is the website you need. It's app.hivepractice.co.uk/registration to register your place on our live upcoming masterclass on how to double your profits in the next 12 months. So Blake, is it really just that easy? You just come to our masterclass and double your profits?
Just that easy, yeah. Well, I think the reason we call it the power to double is that isn't it nice to have the knowledge and the ability in the system to have the power to double the profit of your practice? I mean, weirdly thinking of it, not everybody wants to double the profit of their practice. And although that might sound counterintuitive, what I mean by that is a lot of practice owners are totally overworked. They're the worst paid person in their practice, and they're still treating 5 days a week and then doing admin at 10 p.m. at night. So often just adding more profit doesn't really, it's a nice thing to have, but what they want to do is simultaneously, they want to gain back control and move from, treating 5 days a week to 4 to 3 to 2, or, for some people like yourself, you no longer treat, right? So there's a bit of a balancing act. So it really depends on the context of where a practice owner is at their time as to what's the thing that they need fixing. But one of the reasons we talk about profit and rather than turnover is the old adage, turnover is for vanity, profit is for sanity. And Troy won't mind me saying this, that at Optimised Health, when it was at $1 million a year, then it grew to 2 million a year. There was less profit at 2 million a year than there was at 1 million a year, because he just got a bit fat with stuff and got a bit overstaffed, and all those years ago didn't really understand which benchmarks he should be hitting. And so that's why we look at profit as an important metric, because ultimately that's what's left after everything else is paid. An industry standards, like most people get about 8 to 12% net profit. We always aim for minimum 20, but really we're building to a model of 30% net profit, where we're talking thirds, which is 30% goes to practitioners, 30% goes to all other costs, and 30% is profit. That gives us a 10% sort of fudge fund of, to play with. But healthcare is an incredible industry, and it's crazy to me that practitioners who have really had to work hard to learn their craft and to learn a very valuable craft are totally undervalued, totally underpriced, totally underpaid. And because most practice owners or practitioners started their journey because they wanted to help people, traditionally they're pretty awful at charging their worth and feeling comfortable taking money. We want to encourage them to understand that everybody can win, right? You can't just have really low prices, because then you can't pay your team well. We want you paid well, we want the team paid well, and we want the patients to have an exceptional experience as well and go, yeah, healthcare it's a premium product, and when done well, the pricing should be there. So obviously pricing something that is a key factor to ultimately kicking out profit at the end, because we've got to charge enough so that when that money comes in, then we pay our team, then we pay for all the bills and the rent and the insurances and the subscriptions and the admin and the da-da-da-da. There's like 30, 40 different line items that sit in that little piece there.
At least, yeah.
It's unbelievable how many outgoings there are. So you've got to be really careful on the outgoings, because it's a hard work to make money. It's really easy to spend money. So we want to make sure that all of our outgoings are very intentional. And we'll go into this in more detail on the masterclass, the live webinar we'll run. But one thing that we encourage practice owners to do regularly is run a report on Xero, and the way we do, or whatever other accounting softwares are available. And you run, you show me last month, a complete last month, and then compare to the previous 11 periods. And then we add totals, and boom, we can see that everything that the practice has done over the last 12 months. As a little aside to this, by the way, every single healthcare practice must have monthly bookkeeping. No, don't do it yourself because you'll mess it up. There are experts that do this stuff. Like if you wouldn't tell a friend to go and treat their own foot or knee or back, they're going, no, I'll just sort it out myself. No, go to a podiatrist, go to an osteopath, go to a physio, go to somebody who knows how to really do this properly. It is counterintuitive to try and do all the bookkeeping yourself. Oh, but then I've got to pay someone. Yeah, then you've got to pay somebody to do it. And they'll do a much better job than you. And probably what you'll save in tax by getting it done correctly by an expert will pay it back anyway. And it's something that's easy to take off your plate if you're doing all this admin. And like I say, we've got an accounting business, right? So I know, and I hear Spokesy say to us, oh my God, every time somebody tries to do it themselves, I have to go and undo it. I've got to undo the work. So we've got to have monthly bookkeeping so that we can do a mini reconciliation every single month, look at what went wrong or look at what went well, and then we can course correct if there's something that doesn't seem quite right. Whereas if we wait till the end of a full financial 12 months and then we send our stuff off to the accountant and then 3 or 4 months later they send us back one piece of paper called profit and loss, we scan our eyes to the bottom and at the bottom there's a random profit number and it goes £28,000 profit, and you go, cool. Well, where the hell is it?
Yeah.
Right? Where is that money? And by then it is way too late to do anything about it. So like all of the members we work with, we give them a scoreboard and we show them exactly which numbers to look at every single month. It's actually very, very simple, right? I think, Emma, you love looking at your numbers these days. You're like,
do you know, it's one of my favorite things to do. I feel so connected to my numbers. And even still to this day, with all the tech that we've got and the funky dashboards and everything else, I actually just really like filling that spreadsheet in. I feel really, without the numbers that you guys have taught me over the years, there's absolutely no way I would have been as successful as I am. Like, I'm so connected to the numbers in my business. Like, I can tell you profit and percentages. I know exactly the percentages that I'm spending on admin salaries. So therefore, I know exactly how many people I can hire. So I can make a decision in my business that I know is safe. Looking back, I mean, I joined the Hive in 2021, and looking back, I was just like, I'm going to buy a drill. Like, I don't know if I can or I should, but I think I need one. So let's just buy that. I mean, it's only been 5 years. It's crazy, right? The difference in me and how my business runs it's night and day different. It's night and day different. I mean, I was looking at my numbers earlier before this conversation, and I started this journey. I was turning over £117,000 a year, which is, fine. It's good for me. And one other, I had a part-time associate at the time. And then within 4 years, I turned over £712,000. I'm not trying to be icky or weird about them, showy offy or anything like that, but that's 7 times the turnover just by the growth strategies and stuff. The profit followed, in terms of those figures. So had I not had the chart of accounts set up and somebody reporting to me monthly, there's absolutely no way I would have been able to make the decisions I've made to grow or expand or do whatever properly and be as successful. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, and that's it. You said the word decisions. Like, you can't make a decision on something you're not aware of. Like, the numbers just show us what's happening so that we can then make empowered decisions. But if we don't really know what's going on in the practice, then we're just guessing, we're flying blind.
Yeah, you're just guessing. Like, I've got something in my bank account. I've definitely got a credit card. I could pay myself, or I could, it's just, to me now, madness. But hey, you all just do the best you can, right, when you start.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they get scared of numbers. But I tell you, the thing that's even scarier than your numbers is not knowing your numbers. Numbers is the language of business, and if you don't have some basic understanding of the numbers that are driving the performance of your practice, you are literally flying blind. That is terrifying, right? And so when we talk about the power to double, that comes back down to knowing, okay, first let's understand what we're doing and what's going on. Then we've got a few levers we can pull along the way. When I was talking about running that report, I'll just finish off that thought, which was look at last month, then compared to the previous 11 months, it shows you everything that came in every single month, everything that went out every single month, and it will show you your profit at the bottom. we do a painfully simple exercise, just called the 2Q margin exercise. We had to name it something, but it's just 2 questions, and you go down every single line item that you're spending out, and you ask 2 questions. Number 1, do I need this? And number 2, could I get a better deal? Right? Do I need this? Could I get a better deal? Let's chop any unnecessary expenses. We all have in our personal lives as well. We all have like random subscriptions that we don't use, and I do this every now and again, and you go, hang on, $5.99 to Apple every month. I'm like, when did that start? And I don't use that. Or a Spotify thing or a Netflix thing. And you go, I haven't used that in a while. Or there's all of this outgoings that we're not in control of. So when we talk about the power to double, it's the power of getting control of your numbers. Then we can make decisions. And like I say, in the webinar, we'll go into much more detail into which levers you can pull to improve the profit of your practice, whilst also being mindful of not just saying, hey, I'm just going to do more and more and more and more work, right? Because that's ludicrous as well. We want to build a profitable practice that can ultimately run without our daily input. Cool. So what we're going to cover on the webinar, Emma, I reckon we'll talk about the numbers. We'll give them the scoreboard that runs the practices so they can see examples of that. And then we're going to play with a few levers.
Yes, that's the key.
Think of it this way. I think this framework originally came from a guy called Brad Sugars, who set up Action Coach in Australia in the 90s. And he did a great job with this model. We've tweaked it to be much more specific to healthcare practices. But the originator model was this. Here are the 5 levers that you need to be in control of. Number 1, you get some leads coming into your business, right? Obviously. So we can control that with marketing. Then just because they're a lead doesn't mean they become a patient. So then we've got to multiply that by the conversion rate. So if there are 100 leads come in and you've got an absolutely useless person on the phone and they only convert 10% of them, that's 90% lost, right? So we look at conversion rate. Leads multiplied conversion rate equals the number of patients or the number of appointments that we have, right? Then we look at that patient and we go, okay, how many times do they come? That's the number of transactions, i.e. do they come once and you never rebook them because you never outlined a treatment plan for them, or you did the whole, the words that should be banned in a healthcare practice. Oh, just see how it goes and let me know.
See how you go.
Yeah, give me a call. No, we outline a treatment plan, and we want people to come back 4 or 5 times. That's very much an average. It depends on the type of treatment, all that sort of stuff. So the number of transactions, again, if somebody comes 4 times on average rather than 3 times, do you understand like the compounding difference that has in a practice? It's enormous. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the compounding effect across all of these. So then we've got, that's the number of transactions. Then we multiply that by the average spend. Very different if you've got a practice where the average spend is really low, like £60, versus a practice that has £80-90 average spend, right? That then gives us our turnover. We take the turnover, and the 5th lever is we multiply it by the margins, like the percentage, i.e. if your practice turns over £100,000 and the margin you have is only 5%, you'll be left with £5,000. If your business is well run and you've got a 30% margin, you'll be left with £30,000. So again, those are, if you increased each of those by 4% over 18 months, you double your practice just by tiny little levers. And that's not like big changes. That's just bringing in more leads. Let's just increase that by 10%. Let's get 10% better at converting those leads. Let's get them coming back 10% more often. Let's get them spending 10% more, and let's improve our margins by 10%. So this is one of the frameworks we use that gives you the power to double your practice, again, without working loads more hours, just by getting a few little things right. The default for most people, they go, we just need more patients. We just need more patients. No, you don't. You're probably not looking after the leads you already have. You probably aren't bringing the patients back long enough times. You're probably not charging well, and you're probably overspending in your practice. So many little tweaks we can make. As a little aside to that, one thing we always will look at with you is the model that you have, right? Some models aren't really scalable. And so often when we work with guys, and this is why I put a bit of a caveat on the power to double. Yes, we'll teach you the power of how to double a practice, but it isn't always the the first step for people. Sometimes they want more time away, or sometimes like their practice is full, or they've got a one room practice, so there's nothing more they can do with that. So often the vehicle, the model we're in, sometimes we need to go, okay, the model that got you here won't get you there, won't get you to the next stage. Right? Let's get you out of this vehicle and let's help you over into this vehicle. If you turned up in a super bike, which went very fast, but only has space for one seat or an uncomfortable passenger on the back, we go, right, is this now going to take you where you want to go? Okay, no, let's help you shift into a model that is actually a much more comfortable, like 7-seater stretched Rolls Royce, where actually maybe you don't have to drive. You can sit in the passenger seat. We'll get a driver. And now we put a team together. Now we're in a vehicle that can actually take us to a whole new destination. So getting the model right is really important. So we've got to check in and make sure that the model isn't going to limit the ability for you to double the profit of your practice. I mean, there was a stage a couple of years ago, Emma moved into, you went from, was it 3 room to a 6 room, 7 room?
Yeah, 3 to 6. What I was assigning value to, the reason I joined was because I wanted to grow. I wanted to step out so I could see myself more as a coaching leader. And that's where I wanted to empower others. That's kind of where I felt like I wanted to go with myself and what my aspirations were. So that's kind of what I came to the Hive for. Yes, I wanted growth. I wanted to improve my practice. I didn't necessarily desperately want to double. I wanted to have more time, and that's what I wanted. That's where the power is, I think, identifying what people assign value to and helping them to achieve that. So it's not always about doubling profit, as you already said, but the models and the tools that you give, absolutely, you can do that if that's what your goal is, for sure. Yeah. So I went from 3 to 6.
Yeah. So we'll go into a lot more. That's sort of the cliff notes of everything that we'll go into more detail, but we can share with, for any of you who want to come along to the live webinar, which is free, by the way. We'll give you some of the specific tools to help you put these numbers in for yourselves, the scoreboard, 5 levers.
Yeah, it's super exciting. You guys are going to be able to interact with us during this webinar as well. So, we're there live. Come with some ideas of, what it is you're trying to achieve for your business. Like start planning, what your goals are, where you see yourself in 5 years. That's the sort of the start point, really, isn't it? And then like how we help you to get there is the key.
And we'll check in with your model. So we've got a little framework where we'll get you to put in a couple of numbers, very big picture monthly numbers around your model, including like your team and the amount of rooms you have. And then we'll look out to 12 months and we'll look out to 3 to 5 years and go, okay, well, where could this model take us? Do we need to change this model, or what can we do to optimize what you've already got? What would that look like if Santa came down and clicked his fingers, or her fingers, we don't know, probably him, right? And said, hey, what would, like, I can make your practice as it is the best it can possibly be. What would that look like? Because if we don't know what that looks like, then how can we aim to build it? And as we always say, like, you don't build your dream house by just randomly showing up on site and laying bricks. The hard work is done in the architect phase. We get big on that because trying to design your house whilst you're building it is a bad idea.
It's a really bad idea. Yeah, trust me.
Real bad idea. So, you can just lean on us because we've built hundreds of practices. So we can show you different models around, okay, if you want a 2 room, 3 room, 5 room, 10 room practice, we've got a 13 room practice, Optimised Health, and just about to move into 18, 19 rooms.
Oh my God. Did you see the plans the other day? Oh my goodness. Like what he's building over there is incredibly exciting. Super exciting to look at. And those schematics, I was like, oh, yeah, incredible.
We can give you some industry insights and show you what options are available to you. We work with people who do $500,000 a year turnover from a 2 room practice, and highly profitable, but then 6 room practices like Emma, who's going to hit 7 figures next year. The choice will be yours, but we want to teach the skill of the power to double. It doesn't mean you have to double, but it means you want to be in control of what can allow you to double. And that's what we'll cover on the webinar. The
power's in the numbers for sure, and knowing which levers to pull and when.
Yeah, and not getting stressed and feeling in total control, going, oh yeah, that makes total sense. It's logical. It's easy. Like running a healthcare practice is simple. It's just not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah.
It's not we just overcomplicate it and we try and do 50 different things. And there's really only a few things we need to do consistently. So come along and we'll give you everything we can to help you with that, to help you have the control and the power to double your practice.
When is this happening?
If you click the link, it will take you to it.
Fab. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. That's all for this episode of the Optimised Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. If you want help building your practice, please reach out to us here at the Hive so we can show you how to build a profitable, stable, and highly respected practice that can ultimately work without your daily input. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.